Join me today as I conclude this series on the best fantasy books through the decades that didn't get any award nominations at all. I start at 2010, I go all the way to 2023 today. Let's check out some amazing books and see how many you've read. Welcome to Fantasy for the Ages, the show where father and son talk about fantasy, science fiction, horror, and other nerdy things we enjoy. I'm Jim, the father of this channel, and I'm talking about fantasy books today. Some great, popular, beloved fantasy books that got totally snubbed by the award circuit. It's just wrong. If you enjoy this episode, be sure to give us a like, and we hope you'll subscribe to our channel. Check out all the other things we have out here to enjoy. And thank you to those of you who already support us as Patreons. We couldn't do this without you. We appreciate your monthly financial giving to keep us bringing this out here all the time. Thanks. Want to check out how you could be part of our Patreon family? Look in the show notes. There's a link. The 2010s to 2023. Again, some amazing fantasy books. Definitely things you'll be familiar with here. And shocking that some of them totally were ignored by awards. Now, there's a lot of great books that I can't talk about because the award circuit did find them, either nominating them or winning awards. But still, so many worthy books that were overlooked completely. And that's what this episode's all about. Why do I stop at 2023? Well, things get a little messy after that. 2024, the award cycle isn't until 2025, and we're not even through it yet. So there are books that could end up having awards in 2024. So I can't touch that. And 2025 is not even done yet. So 2023 is as far as we go. That's a lot of books to cover today. Let's jump in. 2010, we begin with the runner-up book with no nominations, says Fablehaven, Keys to the Demon Prison by Brandon Mull. This is middle grade adventure fantasy and is book 5 of the 5-book Fablehaven series. So this is bringing it home, the grand finale. The series sold over 2 million copies by 2011. This final installment helped drive continued popularity with a robust audience, evidenced by high interest and strong series ratings. Kendra and Seth race across magical preserves to recover keys and thwart the Society of the Evening Star's plot to unleash a horde of demons from their ancient prison. But the best book of the year in 2010 to get shunned and snubbed is The Desert Spear by Peter V. Brett. This is dark military fantasy in a demon-infested world and is the second book of the 5-book Demon Cycle. Praised for its epic scope and character depth, here's the plot. Once again, humans face hordes of deadly demons at night. This time, Arlen and his allies fight to reclaim hope and strength in a war-torn land. For 2011, our runner-up story is from one of my favorite series, Ghost Story by Jim Butcher, the 13th book of the Dresden Files series. There's 17 books already, and novellas, and short stories, and they're going to keep writing books. Another one, number 18, comes out in January. This one was celebrated by fans. It was the new start after a real milestone story, Changes, number 12. This one is featured in many 2011 year-end Best Fantasy Roundups. Harry Dresden returns as a spirit, navigating unresolved mysteries and otherworldly threats to save his city and his friends. But number 1 for 2011, the best unrecognized book of the year, is The Crippled God by Steven Erikson. Epic fantasy of the military, grim, mythic style. This is the final book, Book 10 of Malazan Book of the Fallen. What a ride! This book is lauded as the series climax and one of the best fantasy releases of 2011. The Malazan saga reaches its epic close as battles, betrayals, and destiny collide, reshaping the world and fulfilling ancient prophecies. It was a very satisfying tome. For 2012, our runner up of the year is The Vor by B. Catling. This is a dark, historical, mythic style fantasy and is book one of the Vor trilogy. It holds strong acclaim for its lyrical prose and imaginative world building. It was widely discussed and revisited following its international 2015 release with Alan Moore's foreword. But here in 2012, yep, no award recognition at all. After a colonial German town is mysteriously transported into a living magical forest, a disillusioned soldier delves into its haunting depths, where time and myth intertwine in strange encounters. But the best book of 2012 to get no award nominations is Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Maas. YA fantasy with an assassin's arc and romantasy vibes. That's not my thing. But it is book one of the 8-book Throne of Glass series, a hugely popular debut that launched a best-selling YA epic. A young, deadly assassin is offered a chance at freedom by participating in a royal competition, if she can survive both court intrigue and monstrous challenges. Moving to 2013, our runner-up for the year is Bloodsong by Anthony Ryan. Epic, action-driven, dark fantasy. This is book one of the Raven's Shadow trilogy. It's hailed as one of the rare epic fantasy novels that delivers incredible pace and extensive world building, and is favorably compared to late-stage Sanderson-style hero journeys. Raised as a weapon in a brutal empire, a boy must walk a dangerous path of vengeance, redemption, and destiny to confront his past and shape a kingdom's future. But the best book of 2013, with no award nominations, is The Grim Company by Luke Scull. This is grimdark epic fantasy and book one of the Grim Company trilogy. It's frequently named top debut in 2013 in fantasy, praised for fast pacing, rich world building, and compelling characters. A motley group, including a legendary rebel, a crippled princess, and a haunted sorcerer, bands together to overthrow tyrants in a world on the brink of ruin. In 2014, the runner-up with no award nominations was The Glass Sentence by S.E. Grove. This is middle-grade fantasy, YA, with a time-shifting world element. It's book one of the Mapmakers trilogy, widely praised for inventive world building. In a fractured world where geography follows different historical eras, that's fascinating, young Sophia Timms embarks on a perilous journey through time to rescue her kidnapped uncle. But the best book of 2014 is Thief's Magic by Trudy Canavan. This is heroic quest fantasy with magical introspective vibes and is book one of the Millennium's Rule trilogy. It's a popular debut novel, noted for strong character arcs, and featured in many 2014 fantasy roundups of best books. A young thief is bound into service to rescue a kidnapped magician, forcing her to confront destiny, loyalty, and the cost of power in a dangerous world. For 2015, the runner-up of the year is An Ember in the Ashes by Sabaa Tahir. YA fantasy, Roman-inspired resistance epic style. Book one of An Ember in Ashes series. This was an instant bestseller, debuting at number 2 on the New York Times YA list. In a brutal empire, inspired by ancient Rome, a slave girl goes undercover in the military academy to free her brother, while a soldier destined for rebellion, or worse, struggles with his own conscience. But the number one book for 2015, this is one of Zach's favorite recent reads, is A Darker Shade of Magic by V.E. Schwab. This is alternate world portal adventure fantasy and is book one of the Shades of Magic trilogy. It topped many best fantasy of 2015 lists. Zach affirms that choice and tells me I should really read this book. It's high on my TBR, the whole trilogy. Kel, a traveler between parallel Londons, must rescue a dangerous artifact from a criminal plot, risking his world's delicate balance. Moving to 2016, Our runner-up of the year with no award, recognition, or nominations is The Last Mortal Bond by Brian Staveley. Epic fantasy with political and military fantasy leanings. This is the final book of the Chronicle of the Unhewn Throne trilogy. It's frequently cited among top fantasy of 2016 in the various places people are throwing those lists out. It's hailed for its tight plotting and impactful conclusion. Love it when a trilogy brings it home. As conspiracies unravel and war looms, the final pieces fall into place in a compelling saga of power, sacrifice, and legacy. But the best book for 2016 to get no awards, no nominations, it's so wrong, is Wrath by John Gwynne. Epic fantasy with grim fantasy and high fantasy stylings. This is the final book, book 4 of the Faithful and the Fallen Quartet. It topped many best fantasy of 2016 lists. It's praised for epic battles and its emotional depth. It got high ratings on Goodreads and strong endorsements from the epic fantasy communities. A climactic final battle pits order against chaos as heroes fight for survival in a world on the brink of annihilation. Both Zach and I, big fans of John Gwynne and The Faithful and the Fallen. For 2017, our runner-up of the year with no award nominations is The Black Witch by Laurie Frost. Young adult fantasy, academy-based, and there's dark romance elements involved. Again, not my thing, but a lot of other people's thing. This is book 1 of the Black Witch Chronicles, a trilogy. It's notable enough to spark pre-release social media discussions and sustained fan interest. In a world ruled by magic-born elites, a young witch discovers her dangerous power and must confront her society's deep-seated prejudices and secrets. But the best book for 2017 to get snubbed by the award circuit is Kings of the Wild by Nicholas Eames, a fantastic adventure epic fantasy book focused on a band of heroes. It's a standalone novel. There are later companion novels, but it's written as a standalone. It's frequently cited as the top fantasy novel of 2017. Who cares what the awards said? It's beloved for its heart, humor, and fresh take on aged heroes. A retired band of legendary mercenaries reunites for a final rescue mission, a rollicking, emotional journey of friendship, redemption, and epic monster battles. Going over to 2018, we start with the runner-up being Magic Triumphs by Ilona Andrews. This is urban fantasy, book 10 in her Kate Daniels urban fantasy series. This is a top-rated entry in a best-selling series and frequently appears in late 2010s urban fantasy recommendation lists. Kate Daniels must defend Atlanta from a lethal wave of dark magic and demonic invaders, relying on both her fearsome power and the fierce loyalty of her inner circle. But the best book of 2018 to get snubbed is Age of War by Michael J. Sullivan. Does me good, makes my heart happy to see Michael J. Sullivan get such recognition and love from the fans, even if he's ignored by the trophies. Epic fantasy, it's a continued saga of clan alliances and warfare. This is book 3 of the Legends of the First Empire trilogy. It's lauded for robust character development and dramatic tension, as mortal and immortal forces clash across the First Empire. Alliances fracture, and the cost of war becomes heartbreakingly personal. Big finish to a trilogy. 2019, our runner-up with no nominations for the awards is David Mogo, Godhunter by Sui Davies Okunbowa. This is urban and godpunk fantasy, kind of a new creation in the subgenres. It's a standalone novel. It's praised for its major godpunk innovation and noted for its strong narrative voice. A demigod turned freelance god hunter prowls modern Lagos in the aftermath of a divine fall, capturing rogue gods and his own destiny. But the best book of 2019 to get no recognition is Sorcery Reborn by Steve McHugh. Epic adventure fantasy, lots of battle and magic involved in the plot. Book one of his The Rebellion Chronicles. It's praised for its fast paced story and vivid world building. A reluctant leader resurrects ancient sorcery to rally oppressed clans, igniting a rebellion against an empire bent on erasing magic. Now, normally that's where I'd stop, but we've got 4 more years to cover because this is the end of this series. Let's plow on. 2020. The runner up of the year is The Midnight Library by Matt Haig. Philosophical contemporary fantasy, a critically praised global bestseller, regarded as a deeply moving fantasy blend. A woman trapped between life and regret explores alternate realities in a magical library of all possible lives, learning the power of choice and self forgiveness. That's some deep stuff. But number one, best book of 2020 to get snubbed by the award circuit is A Deadly Education by Naomi Novik. Dark academic fantasy focused on the magical school trope. Book one of her Scholomance trilogy. This is highly acclaimed as a fresh, diverse take on magical schooling. In a ruthless magic school where classmates become monsters, Elle must outwit deadly challenges and resist the lure of dark power to survive. For 2021, our runner-up of the year is The Hand of the Sun King by J.T. Greathouse. This is court political epic fantasy, book one of the Pact and Pattern series. It's appreciated for its blend of politics, magic, and nuanced world building. In a realm ruled by pattern magic and dynastic strife, a minor noblewoman's daring plan sets her on a risky path toward power and personal freedom. But the best book of 2021 to get snubbed is The Witch's Heart by Genevieve Gornichek. This is fantasy of a mythic retelling style leaning into Norse myth. It's a standalone novel, praised for its emotional, subversive take on the Norse mythological characters of Angrboda and Loki. A powerful witch, Angrboda, risks everything for love and motherhood, finding that old prophecies and divine wrath may demand untold sacrifices. Moving on to 2022, our runner-up of the year is Daughter of the Moon Goddess by Sulin Tan, book one of the Celestial Kingdom duology. This is mythic YA adult crossover fantasy. It kind of sits right on the border there. It's featured on Most Anticipated and Best of 2022 fantasy lists. Inspired by Chinese legend, Jingyan embarks on a perilous quest to free her mother from the ruthless celestial emperor, weaving magic, sacrifice, and romantic intrigue. But the best book of 2022 is House of Sky and Breath by Sarah J. Maas. Urban fantasy in the romantasy lane. This is book two of her very popular Crescent City series. This book has massive fan engagement and is widely discussed in reader polls and fantasy communities. Bryce Quinlan and Hunt Athalar face rebellion and betrayal as they fight to protect Crescent City from an apocalypse of magic and politics. Finally, the last year of our series, 2023. This is just back around a corner. What are the two best books that got totally ignored by the award circuit? The first one, runner-up, Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. New adult fantasy romance, romantasy. This is book one of the Empyrean trilogy and was a viral book talk sensation. It was number one on the New York Times bestseller list for 18 weeks. It surged to number one on Amazon. It's got over 3.1 million Goodreads ratings. This is a phenomenon. Violet Sorengale enters Dragon Rider training at a perilous war college, forced to fight, love, and survive in a brutal, love-struck fantasy realm. I still don't think I'll read that one. But I will definitely soon be reading the number one book of 2023 to get ignored, and many of you are just shaking your head that this didn't get any nominations. The Will of the Many by James Islington. Epic fantasy with philosophical and high fantasy stylings. This is book 1 of the Hierarchy series. Frequently hailed as the best fantasy book of 2023 by epic fantasy community forums and discussion groups, it's got layered philosophy and its pacing is just on point. A former soldier investigates the disturbing remnants of a psychic plague, uncovering conspiracies that may threaten the foundations of reality and faith. Whew, there we are. Some amazing books to finish up this series. What do you think about the ones that I've shared 2010 to 2023? I love hearing your experiences. Put them down in the comment box. If there are books that I didn't mention that you also know were fantastic but got no awards, give them some love in the comment box. And if there's anything you totally disagree with on what I shared in my little tidbits on each book, let me know that too. I can take criticism. It's true. Also, look down in the show notes for other ways you can interact with Zach and I. We've got our socials there, an invitation to our Discord server, even an email. We love hearing from people, so reach out. Watch soon for our next series. Zach's going to be joining me for some content again as we take a look at some of the best authors through the years. That's going to be good. But that's where I'll leave you for today. Thanks for watching. We'll talk to you next time.